In the intricate dance of love and relationships, few personalities are as confusing and mysterious as the avoidant attachment style. Their behavior often leaves us wondering, especially after a relationship ends, will they ever miss us? Did they ever care? And if that's something that is on your mind, today we are going to discuss exactly that. In today's video, we are going to cover the avoidant attachment style post relationship, what their grief experience actually tends to be like, which will probably surprise you. And we'll discuss, arguably most importantly, do they ever miss you? How do they actually feel? And what is the best approach you can take from this point forward? Now, if you're new to this channel, my name is Thais. I'm really happy and excited that you're here. And I put daily content out here on attachment styles, the subconscious mind, and how we can really heal and build the best relationships of our life that really start with the relationship to ourselves. So, if we talk about whether or not the avoidant misses you, the answer to this question is actually yes. But it's not a question of whether or not they do, it's a question of when they miss you. Because avoidants have a really interesting relationship to grief and to missing people. They tend to have what I call a delayed grieving period. And what I mean by this is that because avoidant attachment styles actually build so much of their personality around suppressing their emotions and trying to keep as much distance between themselves and their own vulnerability as possible, what you'll see is that the moment a relationship ends or something falls apart, avoidance will do a very great job of not really feeling too much. In fact, they'll tend to be very effective at suppressing their grief, suppressing their emotions, but they're still a human being like everybody else, and they can only suppress their emotions for so long. So, what we have is this delayed grief period where, for the first 4 to 6 weeks minimum, we'll generally see that if somebody goes no contact with an avoidant or really takes a lot of space from them, it allows the dismissive avoidant to stop fearing what it means to be vulnerable or to be in connection. And instead, they'll get into a space where they have room to actually process their feelings. And even more importantly, they will stop fearing their own emotions because they'll start to feel like enough time passed that it's probably fine to stop repressing so much and numbing out and distracting themselves. And as they start to adjust into a space where they're familiarizing themselves a little bit more with their own feelings, this is when the grief starts to pop up. Now, surprisingly enough, and I know this tends to really catch people by surprise because, dismissive avoidants tend to be so stoic and they don't tend to show their emotions too much as a whole, but they actually tend to grieve longer than other attachment styles. Yes, part of that is because they have a delayed grief period, meaning that they're not really feeling their grief for the first 4 to 6 weeks minimum, but generally up to 3 months, sort of at the longest in our more extreme avoidant cases. But on top of that, you'll get into a position where after this 4 to 6 week mark or up to 3 month mark, that window that we're talking about here, after that window takes place, you have to remember that avoidants are less likely to really let somebody into their inner world. They take a lot longer time to warm up to people. They take a lot longer time to let their guard down, to be a little bit vulnerable, to build any sort of real trust around their vulnerability and their emotions being shared with another person. And so what ends up taking place is what you'll see is that the dismissive avoidant, when they do let that person in, they're not quick to go back out into the world and get their needs met really quickly through other people. What you'll see with other attachment styles, like the securely attached style or the anxious attachment style, for example, is that they tend to let other people in a lot more quickly. So their ability to fill the void of grief left behind by a partner who now isn't meeting their needs and a source of being able to connect in their life, that void takes longer to build. Now, what grief essentially is it is a void. It's a void of needs that you were used to having met through one person that got stripped away. And now it's hard to find where to get those needs met in different forms. And as a result of this, as a dismissive avoidant, if you're not used to sharing vulnerability with new people or making new friends or being able to share what you need with other people in your life in multiple forms, there can be this extra degree of grief and this extra layer of loneliness. And even though an avoidant attachment style may do a great job at distracting themselves from their own feelings for a lot of the time, you'll definitely see a lot of that loneliness show up, even most so in their behaviors. Things like keeping people at arm's length, not really sharing their feelings, numbing through excessive television or video games, or isolating themselves, perhaps even numbing through alcohol or substances. But we'll tend to see there's this boomerang effect where they try to numb out for that 6 weeks up to 3 months. Then they'll start to let their feelings in. Their own feelings tend to scare them. And then, in a less intense way, they will often have a prolonged numbing period where they haven't really worked through or moved through their own ability to self regulate. So, there's often this myth that dismissive avoidants are good at self soothing. But this actually couldn't be further from the truth. Instead, dismissive avoidants are good at sourcing their needs being met and soothing through external objects more than through people, which are really suboptimal ways of trying to self soothe. If you get your needs met through binge watching television or eating junk food or binge playing video games or, drinking too much alcohol, these are not self-soothing activities. These are self-numbing activities. And so what you'll see is when the avoidant actually gets into those feelings of grief, it can even be more prolonged because they end up numbing out rather than dealing with and coping with their emotions and then finding other healthy sources of getting their needs met when they're missing somebody from the past. So, does the avoidant never miss you? Yes. The question is when, and when really falls into that category and space that we discussed. And if you are the avoidant listening to this, it's going to be really beneficial to realize this about yourself so that you can take the time to actually connect to yourself, process your emotions, work on that vulnerability and getting your needs met in other ways, which will make you feel a lot of relief in a big way, even if it's a little uncomfortable at the beginning. Now, if you want to learn more about avoidance and how to heal avoidant attachment style, or how to heal your own attachment style if you're fearful, avoidant, anxious, or even just work out better relationships as a securely attached person, you can actually check out our integrated attachment theory certification, where you can not only become certified as an integrated attachment theory coach, but within that 12-week period, you can actually start your own practice. And there are a whole bunch of business support tools for exactly how to do that, how to build funnels, to do all sorts of different marketing activities to be financially free, but still make an impact on people's lives. If you want to learn more, you can book a free onboarding call and check it out using the link down below. But that's it for today. Thank you so much for stopping by and for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe if you're enjoying this channel. And I can't wait to see you in future videos.